One of the reasons, Craig, is because part of it was paid out of Title IV. We have different title grants, and so it was listed additional times because part of it was in one fund and part of it. Yeah, it's three different things listed, but it's in different funds. And we had money in one grant that we could cover part of it, and then a different grant that we could cover part of it. So that's why it's listed like that.
Is that for a monthly or bi-monthly?
No, that's a 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. The bill to Bus Barn Supplies, I'll get the number here, it is 29247. Monroe County Tire and Supply, $820 for disposable faulty tires. Could there be some clarification there? How many tires it was, or did we get retread?
Well, there is a AccuRead 167 cap only, 5 unit price $160. So those are retreads, and there's a reject tire disposal fee of $10. So
We bought 5 recaps.
yeah, that's what it was. But there was a $10 tire disposal fee.
Nobody has anything else, I'll make a motion to approve claims 29159 through 29271, along with payroll from 9/4 and 9/8.
Second.
Josh made a motion to approve the consideration of claims and payroll. Craig seconded. All those in favor? Motion carried. Consideration of personnel report.
Okay, on the personnel report tonight, under resignations, ECA, Annie Richmond, middle school girls swim, Rayanne Kimmel, middle high school girls assistant softball, Gabe Burkhart, middle high school boys JV baseball, Andy Waters, middle high school varsity middle school wrestling, and Austin Judy, freshman boys basketball. Those are resignations on ECA. On new hires, we have classified employees: Catherine McDougall, Central IA, part-time; Robin White, middle high school custodian. Under ECA, we have Shannon Garner, middle high school, 7th grade boys basketball; Steve Smith at the middle high school, freshman boys basketball; and Bryce Hill, middle high school, JV boys basketball; and one volunteer, and that is Sawyer Arnold at the middle high school for JV and varsity boys basketball.
Motion approved. Second.
Josh made a motion to approve the personnel report. Craig seconded. All those in favor? Review of the school bus routes and safety policies.
Okay, Mr. Ogborn, our Director of Transportation, sent me a report to include in the board minutes that each year the Transportation Director is required by law to review bus routes and safety issues. And Mr. Ogborn reported that he has reviewed all of the bus routes and the drop-off points to ensure that they're safe and according to law. And as always, he'll be happy if you have any questions to contact him, and he can answer them. But as required by Indiana code, he has done that review of all bus routes and safety policies. So that's just a report.
He has to review.
I'm sorry?
What are some of the items that you have to review?
There's laws about where you can drop off and how, what side of the road, and different things like that. And so he has to go over all of the routes and verify that we're not dropping off somewhere that Indiana code won't allow it and the bus rules will not allow it. And so he looks at all that and makes sure that we're in compliance and nothing's changed at the state level that would force us to make a change here. Yes.
I know you probably don't know the exact number, but how many turnarounds in people's driveways do,
Several.
I don't know, to be honest with you.
we have approval from all those people?
Oh, yeah, he always gets approved before they do it. Now, I'm not saying that hasn't happened, if they miss a route or something and they may have to turn around somewhere unannounced.
Sure.
But anywhere that they regularly turn around, they always contact the people and get permission to.
The superintendent search report.
Okay, Steve Wittenauer with Administrative Assistance is going to make a report on the process for doing the superintendent search for the next superintendent.
Well, first I want to say I had the privilege of hiring Jamie Seffy when I was superintendent at Cloverdale, so I have to say he's done a good job. I see Deb here tonight. Just as a matter of reference for the public, our company is called Administrator Assistance. You can go to the website administratororassistance.com, and kind of find out all about us. But we've done many superintendent searches over the last 12 years. When I left Cloverdale, I became superintendent at Benton, retired from Benton, and started the company Administrator Assistance. And one of the services that we do is superintendent searches. And so we're currently involved in Benton Central. I'm the interim there now until we find someone there, which we'll have that done by January 1. We're also at Southeast Fountain, which is Petersburg, so we're doing the search there. And so in the spring, we'll be doing one here. We'll be doing another one at Western, which is outside of Kokomo. So the nice thing about doing things at the same time is if you get a lot of good candidates, you can only hire one at each school corporation. That means there may be 2 or 3 really good ones that didn't get hired that we encourage to apply at the other place, or even at the same time, the same place. So this is basically how it works. I've given the board a kind of a tentative timeline. Our next meeting will be the first board meeting in January, and this is kind of how we conduct business. That first meeting, we sit down with the board, kind of go over what they're looking for in a superintendent, look at the salary range. They may have a lower salary for a beginner, a little higher salary for someone who maybe has experience, fringe benefits, all those kinds of things. So we kind of get that put together, because we don't waste their time or the candidate's time. If somebody comes in here and wants $150,000, and we're not about to pay $150,000, we're not going to have the board waste their time or the candidate's time. So that's why we put together the parameters on what we're going to offer the new superintendent here. So as we get into that, we set a timeline for applications to come in. Dr. Bieterstedt will be helping me with this. She'll be at the meeting in January, because we like to have 2 people in case somebody gets have to be gone. We have someone step in. So we receive the applications. All applications and resumes are copied, and each one of the board members gets each one of the candidates. They then screen those candidates. I don't screen those candidates. I'm just facilitating it for the board. So don't get the idea that we select who the superintendent is. We do not do that. So they get all the applicants, look through them. Depending on how many there are, they'll decide how many they want to interview. Then we'll set up the interviews. Usually it's a couple nights, depending on how many they interview. Get through the first interview process. We get that candidate number down to 2 or 3. Have a second interview. And then they kind of get it down to 1 or 2. Sometimes what the board will do, and this is certainly up to our board here, is they may, if they get it down to 2 and they can't make a decision, they may actually go to the community from which that person is currently employed. You get a lot of information just going to the community, the barber shop, the tavern, the cafe, wherever. Ask questions about, what do you know about Steve Whitnauer? Do you think he'd be a good candidate for him to come here or whatever? So then they might do that. Then they may also have a meal with a candidate and their spouse. You learn a lot from that meeting. And I'll give you just a humorous example. At least I thought it was humorous. So we had a couple in, talked to them, had the second couple come in, and the board was really excited about them having 2 or 3 kids. Well, boy, it's going to be exciting to have your 2 or 3 kids come to South Putnam, isn't it? And the wife said, oh no, they're not going to South Putnam, they're going to Cloverdale. Guess who didn't get the job? The guy's wife who said their kids weren't going to come here. So you can learn a lot of things at an informal setting like a dinner. So after that dinner is over, if the board selects to do that, that pretty well gets them down to who they want to pick. Then you have to kind of negotiate with that person. Remember, we have the parameters, so we're not going to go over what we say we're going to go. Put the contract together with the help of your attorney. Who is your attorney?
John Simon.
John Siner. He was here when I was here the last time.
He and Stacy Barclay work together.
So we'll put that contract in place. It has to be advertised for 10 days, so everybody knows when we're going to be paying the superintendent with the fringe benefits. Once that 10-day period is over, then we'd have another board meeting to select the superintendent. So the timeline will be basically from January, and we'll probably name the person. My guess would be maybe the May board meeting, maybe the June board meeting. Depends on the weather and things that may have to be canceled, but no later than the June board meeting. We'd like to probably do it in May because it gives that person, whoever we hire, the opportunity to tell their school corporation, I'm not going to be back. So you may need to find someone to replace me. There's a high school principal, elementary principal, or it could be even a superintendent, city superintendent. I would expect anywhere from 8 to 10 applicants. We had 15 at Benton. We have about 9 at Southeast Fountain. The hardest decision, I've told the board this, will be who you pick. Because there'll probably be some really good ones. And you'll probably get it down to 2 or 3, and you'll really start cutting hairs on who you like best. I'm assuming that's the same thing's going to happen here. We're going to have some really good candidates. The board's going to have to really think about who fits best here at South Putnam. One of the things I can offer is, since I was at Cloverdale for a long time, I know the community as well, and maybe can help them decide maybe whether or not that person would fit or not type situation. So that's basically how it works. We're happy that the board has selected us to do this. I think we'll be able to work with the board in getting someone that will come in and do a really good job, replacing Bruce, who's been here for a while. So that's kind of how it works. Anybody have any questions? Board, do you have any questions? Comments?
Question for the board. Once he brings you your candidates and that kind of stuff, and you start doing the interview process, and you may not even have an idea yet, and that's fine, you can just let me know. Would you consider, or have you considered then, like, are you going to have like administrators or staff also maybe listen to the candidates and just, you know, as part of it, or do you just intend to it be you all, or, I mean, I'm just kind of curious.
And we haven't sat down.
Right.
We haven't with those plans yet.
Right.
So we're really hoping to, January, once
Okay.
we're going to settle on parameters and have those discussions. So
Okay, that's fine. I just was throwing it out there, you know, to see.
we have to discuss.
Okay.
If I had to say, Joe, it'd be once we get towards the end, we've narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 at that point. Once we get it.
Sure, that's what most definitely. So, I just a question out there. That's all. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in this evening and giving us that timeline.
We're glad to do it. I'd encourage you to go to our website. You can see all the searches we've done. We've done a lot of those. And all turned out really pretty well. We've always had good candidates apply. And I see no reason why we don't have the same thing here. Nice school corporation, a nice location. I think we'll have at least 8 to 10 possibilities. Some that'll have experience and some that won't have experience.
Money back guarantees what sells.
Yeah, the money back guarantee. One of the things seriously that we do that no one else does who does this work is we stay with that superintendent 1 year. We can kind of be someone who buffer, we'd like for that superintendent to have at least one honeymoon year. We know how things happen over the course of time. Sometimes things happen. So we will stay with that superintendent, especially if it's newbie. I can tell you from my own experience, when I became superintendent, I thought I knew it all. No, that wasn't the case. So it would have been helpful to me to have a mentor for me to help me get through some of that rough period when I was at Cloverdale, because Cloverdale was the first job I had. And so administrator assistant stays with that superintendent candidate for 1 year to kind of buffer things so that might be, for example, maybe he's not going to enough fine arts activities, or he's not in the buildings enough, or those kinds of things. Board can tell me, I can tell them, works out pretty well, so they learn that first year is a very tough year. They don't know what they don't know. And that kind of helps them with those kinds of things. So we appreciate the opportunity to help you, and I'm really looking forward to it. We'll see you the 1st, January, what was it? 13th. See you January 13th. So if anybody has questions, that information on our website has my phone number. Bill can talk about it. That helps me too. So maybe I hope that's a good thing, because I'm also the executive director of Wabash Valley Insurance Trust.
It's a good thing, Steve. Nothing but good.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, Steve.
Going home.
7B, consideration of copiers.
Okay, as you know, I've been looking at copier proposals, and I did receive a couple of them, and I shared that information with you. At this time, I'd like to recommend that we accept the proposal from Toshiba. It is a 60-month contract for copiers to replace the current ones. They came in about $40,000 lower than the next closest one. So my recommendation would be that we accept Toshiba for replacement.
Debbie at Fillmore, is your current copier situation just awful?
I will say it's not as bad as what I hear it is at other buildings.
High school level, it's awful, correct? I mean, we're gonna have to pay up to get out of this contract, but
You love it, and it's fine.
but maybe you should come over and.
I'm telling you, you gotta be nice to it.
Yeah, we're always looking for cost saving measures, but we're gonna have to actually pay a little more just to get out of a bad situation.
Does this one offer like the same services, like they'll come out and they'll?
Yeah.
Basically, they're all the same on that aspect of it. It's the services you get is what you're.
So at least at the middle school and high school, we've heard your frustrations, and this is kind of our solution to try to get in front of them. We hope this fixes it.
And being
Always willing to try something new.
I'll make a motion to approve the Toshiba quote dependent upon 2 positive references from different corporations that currently have Toshiba.
I have those
Had for a
reports.
little while.
Second.
When will that go into effect?
ASAP.
Oh.
It's not the end of the year. It's soon as.
Okay, I just wasn't sure, like.
Yeah.
So they have copiers in here. But we do have to store the Xerox machines.
Yeah, we will have to store them.
Contract, that's one downside besides the extra expense. But we do have to keep them on site till the contract expires.
So before they ship them back, we still have to store them for 2 years?
Yeah.
Let's made a motion to approve Bruce's suggestion to use Toshiba. Anthony seconded. All those in favor? Additional appropriations, public hearing, and consideration of approval.
Okay, at this meeting tonight, we will open a public hearing. Public hearing is for the public, those in attendance, if they want to express any opinions one way or the other. The public hearing is on additional appropriations. At about this point in time each year, we're looking at our budgets and where we anticipate being at the end of the year. Additional appropriations are not asking for more money. We have money in the bank that is in our funds that is unappropriated, and appropriations are simply what the state gives you the legal authority to spend the money that you have, that you've collected through taxes and your state payments and so forth. And so in going through this year, I'm asking the board to approve additional appropriations. That's the authority to spend the cash that we already have in the bank in our account. Asking for $600,000 in the ed fund, education fund, $450,000 in operations fund, and $500,000 in rainy day fund. And rainy day fund, that typically is just set aside for emergencies. Don't anticipate in rainy day really spending any of it, but we may a little. But that's there basically so that if we have an emergency come up before the end of the year, we have the cash, but we have to have the legal authority to spend that cash. And so that's what the appropriations are.
An example of an emergency that you would use that in.
We had a boiler blow up and it cost $50,000 to replace it. And we had to do it the 10th of November and had to pay for it, before the end of the year. And there's not enough time to do additional appropriations to cover that. And so by having the emergency appropriation in the rainy day, we can use that money to pay it off. And there's any number of emergencies that could come up. But basically, the rainy day is just sitting there to protect us, and it doesn't cost a penny if you don't spend it. At the end of the year, that all goes away, and then we'll, this next time go around, we'll look at it again toward the end of the year and see where we're at.
Is it anything over 10,000 requires prior approval?
That's what you've operated on me personally without your approval to do it.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. First, this is the public hearing. And so if anybody has any comments that they'd like to make, we have to ask that because that's what the public hearing is for. I think I explained pretty much, but are there any comments from the public tonight? If not, then
I'm Erica O'Rourke. We had a concern about the class sizes, and it's been resolved for now.
this is just strictly about the additional appropriations right now.
Okay.
Okay? And in a minute, they'll ask if you want to talk.
Got it.
All righty?
We're
So,
jumping out of the regular to the public, and then we'll jump back to.
yeah, so as far as the public hearing,
You let me know. I'll wait for
okay,
you.
as far as the public hearing for the additional appropriations that I just explained, if there are not any other comments from the public, you're public.
I'll just ask about the rainy day. You said it goes away at the end of the year.
The appropriations, the money stays right
That's what
there.
I.
Yeah, I was talking about the appropriations, right, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the authority to spend that goes away.
Sure.
Yeah, and so it just sits there in the account. If there are no other questions on the public hearing, then we'll close the public hearing at this time, and we'll ask for a motion to approve the expenditures, the appropriations.
Motion to approve. Second.
Let's made a motion to approve the additional appropriations. Anthony seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Make a motion, close the public hearing. Dave.
Close the meeting. Anthony seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Yes. Yeah, take care of it.
Consideration to adopt the 2021 budget, the CPF and school bus replacement plans, the resolutions, and CPF notice of adoption.
Okay, we held a public hearing on September 23rd on the proposed budgets and bus replacement CPF, and there was no public comment at that time. So at this time, having held the public notice, would ask for a motion to approve the budgets and plans as presented.
So these are just technicalities that we're getting ready to.
Yeah, we held a public hearing on it, and now we're ready to adopt. And then we'll send this on into DLGF.
So, that being said,
I move to adopt the 2021 budgets as presented on Form 4, the ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rate. Form 4A, budget by fund report. Form 4B, budget estimate, financial statement, proposed tax rate. Also, the resolution to transfer amounts from the education fund to the operations fund. Resolution to adopt the 2021-2023 plan for the capital projects fund. Resolution to adopt the year 2021 to 2025 bus replacement plan. The 2021 budget transfer resolution. The resolution for the 2021 budget hearing. The 2021 budget line 2 resolution. The rainy day transfer resolution and the resolution for operations fund interest deposits.
One question on the bus replacement plan. We do have the ability to adjust that timeline on the bus replacement plan. We're not locked in. It's just a matter
That's not an absolute requirement. No, it can be adjusted.
Make a motion to approve.
I did that.
Second.
But you wanna read that all again?
Greg made
That's
a
right.
motion.
I should have said that.
Greg made a motion to approve the 2021 budget as presented. Anthony seconded. All those in favor?
Now, I will mention for the public knowledge, this will all be uploaded into Gateway, so it's all transparent. The public can go in, look in Gateway for South Putnam, and see all of the documents that are part of the budget and so forth. And or for that matter, you can see every school corporation in the state. Just pull the name of the school corporation up, and you can look at their proposed budget.
Superintendent's report?
Okay, the only thing really that I have to report is we have made it through the first 9 weeks. And I can tell you that many people were very skeptical that we'd be in school right now. And I was very surprised. We were taking bets against each other, you know, the first week or the week before school. Well, a couple of weeks we're going to be right back out and so forth. And thanks to a lot of work from a lot of people, administrators and teachers and parents with their students, having them follow guidelines that we've set forth and the plans that we've set up. Really happy to still say, and I think I might have mentioned this maybe the last time, that we have only had one positive student officially identified that we know of since school started that had a positive case of COVID. We've had several students that, because of contact tracing, we've had several students over this first 9 weeks that we've sent home for a number of days because Billy sits here and he was with his cousin over the weekend, and now his cousin has COVID, and he may or may not, he's getting tested, and so, you know, he was sitting here, there's these 5 kids sitting around him, and they all got sent home for a period of time to ensure that they were not positive also.
How many of those do we have?
Oh, gosh. I know at one time we had, 40 or more at home, did we, Brian? 30 or 40, somewhere in that neighborhood at the high school. I don't know, did Fillmore have to send any?
We just had to send people because of symptomatic
Yeah.
things, but we not, as far as contact tracing, we not found.
Yeah, and Central had, I think they had a couple, but not many. So it really wasn't too many. And those that went were out, you know, for just a few days, and then they came back in. So officially, just having one positive case in the school corporation, the things that we've done to try to keep kids safe with wearing masks and trying to keep everybody spaced and all, which is a difficult thing to do sometimes. But it's all worked well, and I'm very happy that we've gotten through the first 9 weeks here, and without having major crises, you know, to have to react to. And I'm like everyone else. I can't begin to tell you what the next 6 months is going to be like, but I'm hoping that it'll be similar, and we won't have any big crisis come up from this. So far, so good. And kids are working hard. We have several kids still online that are working diligently every day, and staff that are staying in contact with them. So we're moving forward, and we've been fortunate, and I hope that we remain fortunate. I hope that we'll remain diligent in taking to heart all of the safety precautions that we're all doing. So far, so good. That's why I want to report.
Oh, is this where I go? All right.
Your turn now.
My turn, yeah. No, we've been in correspondence with, and I know many of you have been. Mostly are just really, feel heard this week. And I think that's going to be to the benefit of our kids. To fill in anybody else who doesn't know, where class sizes in 4th grade have reached this week over 30 kids in each class. Just really felt like we needed to express some concern, and we got an email this week that we got a third teacher in for after public. We're very appreciative of that. And
One thing I'd like to say to you guys is, first of all, I'm sorry it took so long, but I think it got lost in the shuffle exactly how dire it was and where those numbers were at because of all the other things that were going on. It's not an excuse, but I want to say I'm sorry.
So as far as the teacher that's being put in the spot goes, since she's already within the school corporation, it didn't cause any budget issues, correct?
Well, it's going to cost, but it will.
Was she not already allocated? A different fund.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And we're not just sticking somebody over as a body. She is going. She's a good teacher.
I'm excited about her. Yes, for sure. But yeah, on behalf of parents, students, teachers at Central, thank you guys. And I mean, if this is gonna, obviously this class is potentially gonna even get bigger, as we have more students come back or transfer, if there's anything that we need to do as far as future recommendations or, planning or whatever that looks like as well.
Thank you.